1000万 MLB 翻訳侍戦士チャンネルへようこそ。野球の殿堂入りを果たしたイチロー氏とサバシアの思い出深い対戦シーンが語られ、現役時代から野球の歴史と伝統を大切にしてきた姿勢に注目が集まっています。今回はイチロー選手との対戦エピソードや殿堂入りに関する現地メディアのインタビューを日本語翻訳してお届けいたします。この動画が面白いと思っていただけましたらチャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。
Hall of Famer, CC Sabathia. How's that feel, man?
It's still surreal. It's still crazy to hear. Even just being here and seeing like National Baseball Hall of Fame, it's pretty cool though. It's exciting.
So first, when you got that phone call, what was the first things going through your mind?
Just like a relief. You know, I've been watching the tracker. Like I've been every hour. I was like refreshing the tracker just to check. And like, you know, we sat down, you know, we had a big party. I felt either way, like if I didn't get in or not, you know, I felt like I wanted to celebrate with, you know, people that were close to me. And, you know, that last 15 minutes when you're sitting there and it's like, is my phone working? And, you know, we getting a good signal. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it was a great feeling.
You know what's crazy about baseball or any kind of sport? Really takes a village of folks, right, to get you through it, to get you to have your dream. Have those folks there with you must have been amazing. But were you going through your mind when you finally knew you got the call? How many people played such an important role in your life?
Yeah, I mean, just thinking, you know, coming from Vallejo down to, you know, my high school coach, Abe Hobbs, or, you know, even just thinking about Dusty Baker. I got a chance to meet Dusty when I was 12 years old and the impact that he made.
Wow.
Dave Stewart, you know, 9 years old, meeting him in a Boys and Girls Club. So, so many different interactions and, you know, I don't think by accident, you know, if I'm looking back, you know, at my life. So it's pretty cool to sit back and reflect and think about all the different people that had an impact and you know, the way they, you know, changed the course of your life.
So Hall of Fame induction day, I did a breakdown on you, swinging the bat, hitting a home run, and a split. After I watched it a few times when I was getting ready, and I went, he finishes like Griffey. He's walking, watching balls.
I mean, growing up in the 90s, being a left-handed hitter, he was the swing that you wanted to emulate. So, yeah, I mean that finish, of course, but I couldn't get my elbow up there. I couldn't get to the fastball with my elbow that high.
Were you able to replicate the Dave Stewart stare? Because that was really important to intimidate the hitters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just, you know, staring down over the glove and you know, just the intensity that he pitched with. You know, being an ace of those Oakland teams. I mean, I had the Bash Brothers poster up on my wall, and you know, Ricky Henderson. You know, I had the Mizuno gloves. So that was my squad, and having a chance to even go in to the Hall of Fame with Dave Parker. He was the DH on those teams. So
yeah.
Excited to meet him and you know, grow a relationship with him.
So speaking of Dave Stewart and aces, the black aces, 15 black pitchers who won 20 games or more, right? And you're one of the black aces. What has that group meant to you?
It's meant, you know, everything to me to be, you know, part of the Black Aces. You know, it's something that Mudcat Grant, you know, stressed to me when I was young in that Cleveland organization.
Can you give me a little Mudcat? What did he say? You know what I'm saying?
He was just, you know, he was always, you know, just adamant about me, you know, remaining the starting pitcher. And understanding what that meant in history to be, you know, a starter as a black man and, you know, to win 20 games was important. It wasn't important to me because, like I said, as a kid, I was a hitter. So I didn't even, when I got drafted, I didn't even know that you had to pitch 5 innings to get a win. Like, you know, so all these things were, you know, new to me. And he's talking about winning 20 games in the big leagues, you know. So, you know, I had to grow into all of these things that he wanted me to be. And I'm just happy that I was able to.
One of the great stories you told is you won 19. He said, "You're not there yet." You know?
Not there yet.
I think one of the biggest culture shocks is when you leave your home and go to professional ball, because you have this image that it's this most amazing thing. But going from Vallejo into Cleveland organization, what was that like?
It was tough. Those first 3 nights when I got drafted, they sent me to Burlington, North Carolina. I called my mom every night and I cried. Like I was like, do I got to get the money back if I come home?
I get it.
She was like, let's get this check first, then you can come back. But no, it was tough. I mean, you know, I was a spoiled kid. You know, I hadn't learned how to wash clothes. I didn't know how to cook for myself. I didn't know how to eat properly. You I didn't know how to use shower shoes. I'm going from high school where my mom's washing my uniform to now, I'm putting my clothes on a laundry loop, you know what I mean? So all these different things about being a professional, I didn't understand.
We're laughing because we know.
No, even the everydayness of it. Like being at the ballpark every day. Like you have to be at the ballpark every day at 12:45. Like that's a thing coming from high school. You don't understand that. So just understanding that when you leave high school, when you turn into a professional baseball player, it is a job.
When I look at your body of work, 19 years, the most surreal part is 2007, 08, and 09. I don't know if any player's ever had this kind of 3-year stand. You get the Cy Young with Cleveland, and it's Cleveland Guardians now. And then the next year, you're traded, because you're going to be a free agent, to Milwaukee. You put them on your back, did something that no pitcher probably will ever do. Pitching on 3 days rest, you win 11 times in 17 games. And then the next season, you're with the Yankees and win the World Series. What was it like for you, and not only you, but your family, moving 3 times and being great each and every place you went?
Yeah, no, that was a crazy time in my life as far as, moving different places, different organizations. But on the mound, that was the most stable I'd ever been. And it was the second half of 2006, really. Carl Willis again. We go into the bullpen in Oakland. I'm trying to find a out pitch. I need because I'm throwing like a big loopy curveball at the time. And when I get the 2 strikes, I don't have anything to put a guy away. So we were going to the bullpen to learn a cutter. And I come out of that bullpen session with this 82, 83 mile an hour slider that I'm like, oh, this thing is awesome. So we go from Oakland, we go to Seattle the next start. I take it into the game. Ichiro, I get the 0-2, Ichiro hit it off the window. So I'm like, oh no, that's just Ichi. So I'm getting outs with it and getting outs with it. His next at bat, he comes up, I throw it to him first pitch, he hits it out again.
Oh my goodness.
But that was, the beginning of, that run where the next year I win the Cy Young because I have an out pitch now. And then I get to Milwaukee and, go on that great run because, we had so much fun. We had, that clubhouse was so good. And, then I had a chance to come to New York and win a World Series. But it was chaotic off the field and moving around. And I have to give a lot of credit to my wife, Amber. We had our 3rd child all through in the middle and all that stuff. But on the mound, that was the most stable I'd ever felt.
So let's wrap it up with this. You started off talking about you were following the tracker, which I can't even imagine.
Everybody, if anybody tells you they're not following the tracker, they're lying. I'm telling you right now, everybody's following the tracker.
You and I were close. We didn't follow the tracker.
No, we didn't get there. So I want to finish with this. You started working on the speech yet? You got to be thinking about that at least, right?
I have not started working on the speech, and if anybody knows me, they know that I don't like standing up and talking in front of people. My hand's getting sweaty right now just thinking about it. So it's going to take me a while to, I want to get the speech done so I can practice it because I get super emotional. I cry at everything. So I know I'll cry at the podium, but hopefully I can get through it and make everybody proud.
Man, we're proud of you, man.
So proud.
Thank you.
Awesome. It's been so fun. Congratulations. Well done. Well deserved.
You have as much respect for the history of baseball as any player I've ever known or heard about. You've been to Cooperstown 7 or 8 times already just because you're interested in the history of the game.
もちろんそうですね。
Of course, I wanted to learn about the history, and that's one of the reasons. But really, as I played and as I hit milestones, broke records that some of the old Hall of Famers had accomplished, I felt a really close relationship with them. And so in order to get to know more about them and get to have a more closer relationship, I thought I needed to go to the Hall of Fame, Cooperstown, and be able to learn about them, be able to go in the basement and maybe get to touch some of their equipment. And that's kind of how I became closer to some of those players that I was able to tie or pass some of the records.
シスラー、ジョージ・シスラー
Yes.
という選手と、ウィリー・キーラーという選手ですね。
That's one of the things I've admired most about you. Sisler's daughter was at the game when you tied or passed him. And then when the All-Star game was in St. Louis in 2009, you visited his gravesite and said that you wanted to honor this grand upperclassman of the game. What a wonderful thing.
そうですね。やっぱそういう気持
George
ちに
Sisler's daughter came to Seattle and to watch, and I was so grateful for that. And really, the Cooperstown was Hall of Fame is there, so that I learned about these guys, and so it meant a lot to me to go to the gravesite, because that's where I was able to learn about them through Cooperstown, and so that's why Cooperstown is great for everyone, but especially for me, who I was able to get close to some of those that I was able to learn about.
What does it mean to you, given your respect for the history of the game, that you are the first Japanese player in the American Baseball Hall of Fame?
で嬉しかったのは
It wasn't a goal of mine to be in the Hall of Fame. I started my professional career at 18. It's just a little, every day working on the little things and working hard every single day and just getting better every single day. And I didn't know I was going to go to America to play baseball and for the big leagues. And that became possible because of just the everyday, over and over and over practices and everything that I've done to get to that point. And as I went throughout my career, there was an opportunity that, hey, maybe I could go play in the big leagues. And that's when I had an opportunity in 2000 at the end to be able to go to the big leagues in America. And so that's kind of the steps that I had to take to get to the goals that I've had. In 2001, my career started here, and I didn't know that I could last a year. And people around me didn't know that I could last a year. But, our team did well. We won 116 games. I was able to contribute, and I was able to just take those little steps every single day. And 2-3 years, I was able to do well, and then fourth year, get 262 hits, and just took little steps along the way. And look at me now, I'm a Hall of Famer. You look at the Hall of Fame, I don't think it's full of guys that are just so talented than everybody else. Look at me, I think I just took little steps and worked hard to get to the next step, and here I am.
People may not realize that your English is actually very good, but you like to speak in these situations in Japanese to be as precise as you can. But in Cooperstown in July, will you speak a little bit of English in your acceptance speech?
英語で話します。
I will make my speech in English. When we have these interviews, I'm shaky in my own language, Japanese. I can't speak it. And that's how I've looked at it. Obviously, I've wanted to learn English. I tried, and it's really hard. If you would have told me, hey, you could put a chip in my head, and I would lose 5 years of my life, back then I would have done it. But now I'm kind of at peace with that, and that I will. Of course, I want to learn English. I want to do better, but yes, I will do my speech in English in July.
Let's move on to this topic. Which organizations are celebrating this top 100 list? It's a big deal to have the most prospects on the top 100 countdown. The Cubs and the M's lead the way with 7. The Tigers with 6, along with the Chicago White Sox. And man, Jim, thankfully the Dodgers have 6 as well, because they're having a hard time getting big league talent to Chavez Ravine. So it's good to see they've got a farm system. My goodness, are the rich getting richer, Jim?
No, they are. I mean, they weren't quite number one on that list, but I think in terms of what organization does the best job winning at the big league level while continuing to develop talent, it's clearly the Dodgers. And you look at this list, it shows they get players from all different sources. They don't usually have first-round picks or high first-round picks. Roki Sasaki, obviously, that was international recruiting efforts there. Dalton Rushing was a second-round pick. Josue DePaulo was not a big-time international signing. He was mid-level money. Jackson Ferris and Zaire Hope came over in a prospect trade. Yes, the Dodgers do trade for prospects. Alex Freeland was a third-rounder. So not only do they excel at finding players in all kind of aspects of player acquisition, I think from a development standpoint, they do as good a job as anybody developing hitters, developing pitchers, just making players be as good as they can be. They do that, I think, better than anyone. So that's why I think a year from now, they may be number one on this list, because they have a bunch of young guys like Kellen Lindsay and Emil Morales and Eduardo Quintero who all could be on this list next year, who are all teenage players who are on the rise. We may have in the top 100 show next year too. It's just they do a lot of amazing work aside from spending like crazy at the big league level.
I thought Jim was going to just tack off all 30 of the Dodgers' top 30 off the top of his head, which would surprise none of us. I'm going to talk about the team that had actually more top 100 prospects than the Dodgers, the Seattle Mariners. Which maybe they sort of qualify as a sneaky good because people don't realize it, but the thing that really stands out is its 7 bats. Not long ago, this system was known for the Logan Gilberts of the world. It was all about the arms. They're in the big leagues now. They went 3 high school bats in a row in the draft with Cole Young, Harry Ford, and Colt Emerson, who's now at the top of that list. And they've done a very good job of developing these guys. They're starting to reach the upper levels. Young and Ford are. They acquired talent in a number of ways, also via the draft. You see Lazaro Montes and Felman Celestin, big international signings. They're not afraid to aggressively promote them to full season ball, so they're kind of on a faster track. And sort of inside baseball here, when we put our list together, we send it out for feedback. And Michael Arroyo and Johnny Firmello, and Firmello isn't going to be back till midseason because of a torn ACL, got a ton of feedback from evaluators of other teams that they should be on the top 100, and that's why they see them on the list.
And then for me with the Cubs, one of the other organizations there with 7 top 100 prospects, what stands out to me most about that group is how close they are to the bigs. You guys talked on the main show about Matt Shaw and how he could be a National League Rookie of the Year candidate this year because there is an opportunity for him there at third base. But Cade Horton, Owen Casey, Moises Ballesteros, James Triantos, Kevin Alcantara, all of those guys have AAA experience already. And if you look at the good major league clubs like the Dodgers, like the Orioles the last few years, they are good because of their depth. They have another level waiting at the AAA level. Is there a great need for outfielders right now with the Cubs after the acquisition of Kyle Tucker? No, but if they could bring in an Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara got time at the major league level a little bit last year, they have enough options to plug and play there, and then they have Jefferson Rojas who's rising through the ranks. This is the type of farm system you need if you want to be competitive year in and year out.
The number 1 prospect in all of baseball, and it's hard for me to say he's a prospect. I got to be honest with you. Roki Sasaki, after covering the World Baseball Classic, seeing him throw in person, this Japanese superstar is debuting on this list at number 1. He just recently signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's got a splitter. He's got so many incredible pitches. His fastball is over 100 miles an hour, reaching 102. Jonathan, at some point, obviously, he's the sure bet on this list, on this show. But do you view him as a prospect after everything he's done in a Japanese professional league that it just keeps churning out stars?
Well, obviously we do. Otherwise, he wouldn't be number 1 on our list. But, we follow the rules that baseball has set for the international bonus pool system, and he counts towards that, so he counts as a prospect, just like we counted Shohei Ohtani when he came and signed with the Angels. And he's number 1 for a reason, and baseball largely thought he was the number 1 prospect for a reason because the stuff is just ridiculous. You mentioned the fastball. Even though the velocity was a little bit down in 2024, he's still averaged in the upper 90s. But the thing that's the real separator for me is that splitter. If you watch video of that splitter, I don't know how anyone ever hits or lays off of that pitch. It is an 80 on the scouting scale. We don't give those out lightly. And those 2 pitches alone are enough to have him really high on the list. Throw in the fact that he flashes a plus slider and he commands all 3 pitches well. And that's why he's clearly the best pitching prospect and the number 1 guy on our board.
And following up on Jonathan, what kind of blows me away, though he's pitched 394 innings in Japan, I still look at him as the development project.
Really?
Well, you look at it, his highest number of innings has been 129. He physically looks like he hasn't come close to hitting his maturity level. And though he's got 2 dominant pitches, he can scatter his fastball a little bit, and he's still a work in progress with his other pitches. And so he couldn't have gone to a better organization because they're so deep. They know how to transition Japanese pitchers now to American baseball. And Jim, you look at him and you go, oh my gosh, even though he's great now, I can't imagine what he's going to look like with a couple more years of physical growth.
I had that exact conversation with the Dodgers talking about Roki Sasaki. I agree with all that. I think that splitter might be the best pitch in the world. I think his athleticism and the mobility in his delivery is off the charts. But like you said, it's interesting. I think he's going to be good this year right away. and I think he's going to continue to get better. He could command the fastball better. He can refine the slider more. And, I think he's a future Cy Young Award winner. But yeah, he went to an organization that gets the most out of players. Jonathan mentioned his executive poll. The Dodgers are, number one or top three in just about everything in terms of acquiring talent, making guys better. They do a great job developing pitchers. And I can't wait to see what they do with Sasaki.
イチロー氏の野球殿堂入りが決定し、この夏にはクーパーズタウンでのスピーチが行われます。英語力はあるものの、より正確に思いを伝えたいという理由から、日本語でのスピーチを選択されたとのことですね。母国語でさえ緊張するという率直な言葉に、改めて彼の誠実な人柄が感じられました。また、佐々木朗希投手のドジャース入団も注目を集めています。現存する最強の変化球と、評されるフォークボールを武器に、開幕から主力として期待されているようです。投手陣の育成に定評のあるドジャースでの活躍に、期待が高まりますね。ご視聴いただき、ありがとうございました。皆様のご意見もお待ちしています。